This weekend, Lloydminster's Ukrainian community celebrated Malonka in May with a food and dance celebration. The Lloydminster Ukrainian Cultural Association hosted an event featuring what they know best, Ukrainian food, dance, and culture, and celebrated a bit later in the year than usual.
Typically, a Malonka is held in January, but this year, because of COVID, we couldn't do that, so we held it in May. Malonka is typically to celebrate the Ukrainian New Year, so we put on a performance every year, have some good old Ukrainian food, and have a good time.
With everything currently going on in Ukraine, this event meant a lot for local Ukrainians as they showed just how proud they are of their heritage.
To celebrate our Ukrainian heritage, it's something to be proud of. From my experience, most people who are Ukrainian or any heritage really, they are very proud of where they come from. And so we just really enjoy getting together and celebrating.
A portion of the profits from the event went to families currently in Ukraine. The Livestock Auctioneering Championships were held this past weekend at Northern Livestock Sales here in Lloydminster. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
For the first time in 2 years, auctioneers from across the country gathered to compete in the National Livestock Markets Association competition. Their annual national conference took place as well this weekend. 37 auctioneers of various ages and experience all took the stand and took their turns auctioning off cows, steers, and a special item for the opening round.
Just so impressed with the quality of the auctioning here today. This is one of the tightest contests I think I've ever seen, and I've seen lots of them in Canada and in the United States. We have some young men that have been in this profession 3-4 years, and I remember seeing them here 2 years ago before we had our competitions, and then we were shut down, and seeing them again today and how they've progressed over the last 2 years is just incredible.
After all the competitors had their chance at the mic, the top 10 got to do another set of cattle. Included in the top 10 was Kyle Soderberg and Frederick Budnaris from the host Northern Livestock Sales. Bradley Martin from Edmonton was the champion, but past champion Ross Sinnett says that the competition and the knowledge gained is as important as winning.
That's really what these competitions do. It lets an auctioneer who is normally just selling in one place all the time go and compete with peers, with guys who are maybe better than them. And that's how you get better, because you're setting the bar higher and higher and higher. And I can tell you from experience, from 30 years ago, the quality of the auctioneer, livestock auctioneer in Canada, to the quality of the auctioneer today is double.
Thomas Wildman, Primetime, Local News.
Now it's time for this week's Retrospect. Here's Blake Nate.
This week in Retrospect, sheep shearing spat. Back in '92, a unique dispute arises between a local man and Lakeland College.
The shears are abuzz this spring as local sheep shearers take to the farms in search of their seasonal trade. Kendall Smith likes working with the animals and the freedom of his work. But he's upset with Lakeland College Vermilion. Smith's angry over the fact that he wasn't given the opportunity to tender a bid on the college's sheep. However, the college says they don't seek written bids on anything under $1,000.
The college had 162 sheep, a flock of sheep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is, on the recommendation of a couple of sheep producers and some shearers, they got prices. And what they did is they didn't get a price from this Kendall Smith, not that I know of anyways, but his price was $2.10 a sheep. This person that they selected was $2 a sheep. So the total tender was only $324. Like, it's not a big thing.
I don't know if what they consider a small job. To me, this is a small job of 22 sheep. 150 breeding ewes to 150 sheep, to me that's a big job, because there aren't many farms with over 100 sheep. Not really. I might shear, maybe 20 farms this year with over 100 sheep. The bulk of them will be under 100 sheep. So personally, I don't consider it a small job because the sheep industry in Canada isn't big enough for that to be considered a small job.
And we take a look back at some water safety tips as the summer of '97 heats up.
Water lovers everywhere are getting set to hit the beach this weekend, but the need to let loose could put your life at risk. Alcohol and cold water temperatures could be a lethal mix.
On a long weekend, people tend to party and get going, and they have to watch that they don't drink and drive. The offense is the same as if you were in a car, and only in the water, I would say it's even more dangerous.
Alcohol and water just simply do not mix. When you have alcohol in your bloodstream, it increases the rate at which your body cools down and therefore increases your risk to hypothermia.
Officials say taking the proper precautions could prevent you or someone you know from drowning.
Check your boat or watercraft. Make sure you have all the equipment you need. Always wear a life vest or a personal flotation device of some sort, and always be prepared.
Wearing a life jacket could save your life in case of an emergency.
Make sure it fits snugly. A jacket that's too big is useless, basically because a person can slip out of it. And again, one that's too small is useless because it just simply isn't buoyant enough to keep the person up.
And that's all for this week in Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now our Shelby Clark will take a look at your regional forecast. Thanks so much again, Miss Jasmine. Now taking another look at your weather forecast. Yes, we will be starting off with the central zone of our province here to kind of see what we are sitting at. And on the Alberta side, we are seeing lots of 8 degrees on the map here. We are seeing some cooler temperatures for sure compared to last week. A lot of single digits as well, so we aren't seeing too warm of temps right now. Edmonton is just hitting 7, while it is 6 degrees in Athabasca. 3 in Whitecourt, and Jasper is just hitting that 9 mark. And switching now to our Saskatchewan side, they are seeing those slightly warmer temperatures compared to the Alberta side, seeing those double digits on their side. So looking a slightly warmer, 13 in both North Battleford and Meadow Lake, 16 degrees in Saskatoon and Prince Albert, and Melfort is just hitting 17, so they're even getting close to that 20-degree mark. And going over to our northern zone, they actually are surprisingly looking a lot warmer than what we would expect, especially with last week. They were seeing some slightly warmer temperatures, but definitely looking cool down compared to the rest. 15 in South End and La Ronge, while Flin Flon is almost near that 20 mark. 10 in Wollaston Lake, while most spots are just hitting that 7-degree mark, and Uranium City is seeing the coolest just at 1. Now going back across to the Alberta side, are looking slightly cooler over on this end compared to the Saskatchewan side, unfortunately. -3 in both High Level and Grand Prairie, while it is -1 in Peace River. That 0 mark is in Fort Chipewyan and Slave Lake, and Fort McMurray is looking the warmest, just hitting 3. So they are seeing those single digits, looking even in those minus areas compared to the Saskatchewan side, looking a lot colder. And switching now to our southern zone to see what they are sitting at. They aren't looking too bad, even looking slightly cooler compared to the northern zone, surprisingly. 12 degrees in Medicine Hat, while it's 10 in both Lethbridge and Coronation. Calgary and Brantford looking slightly cooler at those single-digit points. And going back across to this side here now, they are looking slightly warmer compared to the Alberta side, with 17 in Yorkton, 16 and 15 in Regina and Moose Jaw there. Kindersley is just hitting 12, and now Swift Current and Estevan are seeing those single digits at 4 and 9 degrees, so looking a little bit cooler in those spots on the map. But now going back across the region, seeing what we will expect throughout our evening and throughout the night tonight. We will be seeing those minus points in most spots on across the region that we were seeing a little bit earlier on. Unfortunately, we were seeing some warmer evening lows last week, but now we have cooled down. But don't worry, we will get back up there. Most spots will be seeing a low of -2 expected throughout their evening and throughout the night. Pierceland, Bonnyville, and Meadow Lake will be expecting to see a low of -1. Wainwright will just be hitting that 0 mark for their evening low, and Isla Cross will be seeing the warmest, slightly seeing just that 1 degree for their evening low. So we won't be seeing a high chance of some flurries or precipitation, but we will be seeing some cloudier conditions continue on. Looking at temperatures tomorrow across the region, we will warm up just slightly, seeing from around 9 to 12 degrees in most spots. Over on the Saskatchewan side, they are going to be seeing some slightly warmer temperatures compared to the Alberta side once again for tomorrow. And now looking at our 7-day forecast for here in the border city, we will be seeing those temperatures rise up throughout the week with 18, 19 Wednesday, Thursday with a mix of some sun and cloud. Then we'll be seeing some warmer temperatures for the evening with 15 on Friday, seeing a high chance of some precipitation unfortunately come back. And we will be seeing a little bit more sun on Saturday. And then into next week, we will warm up even more to that 18 mark once again next Monday. That is another look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Time now for the weekly sports panel. I'm joined here, as always, with Evan Kenny. Evan, great to be here with you in person.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jace, as always.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here in person. Love it. And we're talking hockey today, but a lot of people are probably thinking, you know, hockey this time of year, we're talking about the playoffs. No, we're not talking about the playoffs today. We're talking about the 2022 World Hockey Championships. So they're going to be taking place in Finland. So you're a big hockey fan, so obviously you know a lot about this tournament. Someone like me, not so much. Can you kind of take us through what this tournament is?
Yeah, Jace, this is really an annual international tournament set up by the IIHF. Really, you know, this tournament, like we're talking about, it takes place during May. So the majority of these players on the majority of these teams are from different European leagues, or a handful are from NHL teams who didn't make the playoffs. Now, Canada does sit tied for first all-time in gold medals with 27. They actually got their 27th last year, and they could be taking first place all-time in medals as they're tied with the USSR/Russia, who will not participate in the tournament this season. So, you know, good shot for Canada this year, and you know, it's always a real good showing coming from our country.
All right, so let's go through Canada's roster a little bit. Who are you most excited to see play?
Yeah, Jace, there's a number of players. I mean, like I said, you know, a lot of these guys, specifically on Canada, a lot of these guys are NHL pros. There's actually just 2 players on the roster who didn't spend time in the NHL. One of them being Matt Tompkins, who actually was one of the goaltenders for the Canadian Olympic team as well. So definitely not a lack of talent when you look at this Canadian roster. But for me, there's 2 guys that stand out, and both of them very, very skilled players. Matt Barzal being one of them. The last time that he played in the World Championships, he had 7 points in 10 games, and that was following his rookie season in the NHL. Now, obviously, he's got a number of more years under his belt at this point, and so, you know, looking at it from that perspective, he should mature and should be ready to play at this tournament. But then also, he's such an elite skater. Now going to play on international ice, I think Matt Barzal is a guy who can really take over, specifically offensively, Jace. Another guy who I think will perform very well is the other player who was on the Canadian men's Olympic hockey team, that being Kent Johnson. Now, he played 9 NHL games this season after finishing his season with the University of Michigan. He had 3 points in 9 games, so maybe not the absolute most points for a rookie coming in, but get this, Jace, playing against men at the Olympics, he had 5 points in 5 games. He's got elite hands and an elite IQ. So once again, on that bigger ice, I'm excited to see what he can do.
Okay, so you mentioned there's no Russia playing in this tournament. We were talking a little bit earlier about all the teams that are playing, and looking at Canada's schedule, it doesn't seem like it's the toughest, but who do you think the toughest opponent for Canada is going to be?
Yeah, you know, just looking through their schedule, Jace, they start things off playing Germany this upcoming Friday, then Italy, then Slovakia, followed by Kazakhstan, Switzerland, Denmark, and then they will wrap up the tournament against France, Jace. So, you know, taking a look at those teams, I think the Swiss will give the Canadians the most difficult time. Couple different factors here. The Swiss have the most NHL players for the division that Canada is in outside of Canada.
Yeah.
So that is obviously a huge factor, getting the best players from the best league.
Makes sense.
One of them being Timo Meier, who scored at almost a point per game in the NHL this season. 35 goals in the NHL as well. So I think he'll be, a big contributor and possibly one of the top players from any country at this tournament. And then, Jason, another team that I'm excited to see, I don't know necessarily how competitive they'll be, but I think they'll be exciting, is Germany. They got a couple of real young guys, Tim Stutzel, who plays for the Ottawa Senators, and Moritz Seider, who, in my opinion, will be the NHL Rookie of the Year. Both playing for Germany at this tournament, so that'll be an exciting one for sure.
Well, there's definitely no shortage of hockey to watch if you're a hockey fan in this country, like I know most people are. There's a lot going on, so thanks again for taking some time to talk with us, Evan, and the tournament kicks off this Friday.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Christina Rienzi, who is a critically acclaimed science fiction author and leadership coach who is now a dual award winner. So thank you so much for taking the time to be able to speak with us.
I'm so excited to be here. That made me sound really good. I don't know. Thank you.
No, it's no problem. We're really happy to be able to have you on here. So you are the recipient of 2 awards at the Global Book Awards. Let's kind of start off with that. What exactly did you win for? Can you give us a little bit of details?
Sure. Yeah, I was actually shocked. On a hunch just for myself, I thought, I write fiction and nonfiction, and something told me to submit one of each, and each of my books won. So yeah, I won for Among Us, which is a sci-fi thriller. I won a silver award in the fiction category for science fiction category. And then in the self-help and personal development category, I won a bronze award for my latest and first debut nonfiction, Five Happy Choices, which was actually, both of these were bestsellers on Amazon, but Five Happy Choices surprised me and was a #1 new release in applied psychology, which was like shocking to me because I had never published nonfiction before. So that was very exciting for me.
How was the reaction of finding out that you received these awards? Were you really expecting it, or was it kind of like a huge shock to you?
I was shocked. I was not expecting it. I really just thought, hey, why not? I tend to feel like, a lot of times in life we hold ourselves back and we think we're not good enough, or like it's not for us and somebody's better and they'll get the award or they'll get the accolade. And I thought, you know what? So what's the worst that can happen? Nothing's happening now. So let me put it out there. So yeah, I was very surprised and I was very grateful and shocked and just thankful that, they were nominated initially, that they were accepted, and that they won awards. I thought that was just amazing to me. I was surprised.
And so from what it sounds like, you've been seeing some strong support from fans and readers so far for your novels.
Yes, absolutely. I've been very lucky from the beginning with writing. I've worked really hard at it. I've gotten a lot of feedback. I've taken classes. I've done all the things you're supposed to do on paper. That doesn't mean success always, right? But I've been very lucky to have people that have supported me along the way. And I've now been published it'll be 10 years. Well, right now it's 8 years. So I've been published for 8 years, but I've been writing professionally for 12 years. And I'm very grateful. And I made this switch from fiction to nonfiction, and it was very scary. And I thought, like, what's going to happen with this? Is this okay? You just don't know when you take a chance and a risk, right? So I'm just grateful that my nonfiction self-help book was also well received, and Five Happy Choices has been doing really well, and people have been sending me emails and telling me stories about how it's helped them. So that really warms my heart, and that's the reason I wrote it. So I am very grateful. I just think it's a blessing that I'm able to share one of my gifts with people.
No, that's really amazing to hear how strong that support is, and you're seeing some great success on your path so far. So we're really happy for you too. And can you kind of expand on what Among Us and Five Happy Choices is about, just for others out there that may not have heard of it?
Sure. So they're completely different, but I like to say that my fiction and nonfiction are linked in many ways. But so Among Us is a government conspiracy thriller. It falls in the sci-fi category as well. And it's about an English professor. I live at the Jersey Shore, New Jersey, so she does too. Shocking, but I love to write about the Jersey Shore. So it's about an English professor who lives at the Jersey Shore. And by day, she's a conservative, by the book professor. And at night, she's a controversial blogger of aliens. So she writes about aliens and government conspiracies, and she ends up with a classified government document in her lap that a secret agency wants back and is on after her. So it's kind of a cat and mouse chase, and it really is all about the truth, Do we want to know the truth? What is the truth? Do we want to not know the truth? And it's just about her wanting to reveal the truth and the government not wanting to reveal the truth, and what they go through to get to that, to come to some conclusion about that. So it was fun, very fast paced. So that's Among Us. And then completely different is 5 Happy Choices, which is my nonfiction self-help book, which is really backed in scientific research. It's about proven methods, easy, simple things you can choose to feel happiness. And the more you choose these 5 choices, the happier life you will have. And I believe that. I studied happiness for over a year in a certificate of happiness studies program. I have a master's degree in psychology. I have my coaching certification. Now I'm in a doctoral program in psychology, health and wellness. So there's a lot of science behind these things. This isn't just decisions I came up with, but I thought, I learned about the science. Now I want to give people simple things they can do. And I felt like it was important at this time to come out with something like this, with everything going on with COVID and everything else in the world, just to kind of help people cope a little bit. That was important to me.
Well, that's really amazing to hear, especially you using your knowledge on happiness and on the science kind of behind it. You're writing it and helping people out there that are able to read this, kind of get that advice on it. So I'm really happy to know that you're helping people out, not only just being a writer, but really helping people out as well in the real world. So it's really good to hear that you got a good journey ahead of you and you're getting some great success. So once again, Christina, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I'm happy we got to speak.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so grateful to be on your show.
Thank you so much for joining us on Primetime Local News, and you can catch us again in the second hour.